So now it's day 4 of the Paranormal Romance Readathon. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, if I have done filming correctly and if I have done editing correctly and also uploading correctly as a YouTuber that I'm trying to be, then today would be my day 4 readathon vlog, and my day 3 readathon vlog would have been up before this one. I've did quite a bit of reading since I've cut off filming for day 3 readathon vlog, so I figured that I would do a day 4 readathon update because I do have some new developments on the terms of like the books that I've read, and I wanted to talk about like how I felt about them and also like my awakening. So I talked to my friend Lacey from Lacey Book Lovers a lot on like Facebook, and I just like message her all the time. And poor girl, because she literally gets messages from the time she wakes up all the way till the time she goes to bed at night. And then when I'm like, 2 a.m. in the morning, like messaging her about random things I'm adding to my cart because I have no self-control and 2 a.m. in the morning, and I'm very vulnerable and susceptible to like deals and like lies that eBay sellers tell me, so I end up purchasing everything. And she has embraced me, and she has basically walked me through the journey of me falling in love with this sort of type of paranormal romance. And I have made constantly a lot of videos and also a lot of comments towards paranormal romance and about how I don't like it. I find that it's very hard to believe, it's very hard to follow sometimes, and I just don't find myself gravitating to the stories that I do typically see and the ones that I picked out for my videos. So I did make a video one time where it was like romance reader tries paranormal romance, and I read this like popular vampire series by this popular author, but I ended up not liking it at all. But I figured out why. And the reason why I'm liking paranormal romance right now is because I found books that were basically half contemporary, half paranormal fiction, which is like my perfect match. Like, it's my perfect percentage that I need and crave. I need real life elements to suck me into the story, but then we have a werewolf type character, or we have a vampire type character, like a supernatural type of character that kind of brings in the paranormal element later on in the story in order to keep me interested. So I did find a lot of those books, and they have made me super excited to read more paranormal romances. And the reasons why I'm actually like uploading these vlogs is because I really do need recommendations from a lot of people, because I'm such a newbie at paranormal romances and also like the specific type that I just like and that I just mentioned. I was actually in the middle of another book called When He's Dark by Suzanne Wright, and I think that was like a cat shifter and kind of like a vampire romance. And while I was captivated by the story of like this girl who has an abusive ex, and now everybody wants to figure out where the ex went because he's like lethal and dangerous, and she just doesn't want anything a part of it because she doesn't want to be with him anymore because he was just so dangerous. And then like she was dealing with all this like flack for not being with her mate, but then she's also having emotions for another person that she shouldn't have emotions for, since she is mated to this villainous character. And while I was enjoying this book, I absolutely just wanted to finish the trilogy that Molly Harper wrote, and the one that I started on, which is Naked Werewolf. So I ended up actually finishing it instead of continuing on with Suzanne Wright's book, which is called How to Run with a Naked Werewolf. And now this one was so good. Like, I already told Lacey, and Lacey gave it like a 3 out of 5 stars, and I gave it a 5 out of 5. So clearly we always have differences of opinions, but that's fine for me. But this one was my favorite because it dealt with a character who is a doctor, but she lived in an abusive relationship, so that she had to like quit her job and run away from her small town. then she had to like disguise herself and like basically hide away from everyone because nobody would believe her that her abusive ex was actually stalking her and was being very toxic. And then this is like kind of like the story of her running away and then also meeting our main hero, who is a werewolf. And I really, really enjoyed the emotions that the characters had felt and the way that I felt towards reading this too as well. I thought it was like really interesting, and I thought it was very cute because he was always protective of her, but then she dealt with like a lot of PTSD and past trauma, and she was just trying to grow as a woman and things like that. So I really enjoyed it, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. And then for the next read that I read, because I was such on a high from reading Molly Harper, I wanted to try out her other series. And some people have commented on my day 1 and day 2 vlog where they said like the other Molly Harper series are a bit better, and I wanted to try her other series, but it's not the same series that the person who commented on my video said. I started the Jane Jameson series, and the first book is called Nice Girls Don't Have Fangs, and Jessica from Peace Love Books actually read this book because I saw her review for it. She read it like a way long time ago. She really liked it, and she thought it was very fun and quirky. So this is about a librarian who lost her job because somebody laid her off, and then she basically was like very upset about it, and then she went out for a drinking session, I think, and then she ended up getting shot and killed by accident on the road because people thought that she was a deer, and then somebody saved her by turning her into a vampire. And in this world, it's like kind of like a world where people know that vampires exist and that they accept these vampires for what they are, so they live among the living. It was fun, it was quirky, it was different, but it felt a little bit like urban fantasy. So like me and Lacey were also debating. Well, we weren't debating because Lacey was just teaching me what urban fantasy was, and it's mostly because like the definition was that there's a lot of action. Romance kind of takes more of a back seat to it, and it's more event driven. And I feel like that this one was kind of more like an urban fantasy because the romance definitely took like a back seat. I mean, it still happened, and we saw the characters together, and we know that they like each other, but it wasn't just like it wasn't like my favorite. So I ended up giving this one a 3 out of 5 stars because I was kind of conflicted on it, and it just wasn't my favorite enough for me to want to grab the next audiobook for the next book in the series. This series is actually like pretty long. I think like there's 5 books, but there's also a spin-off series which makes like the total works into like 18 works. So that's like a lot to live in that life of Molly Harper. But I do want to continue reading some of her books in the near future, maybe not for the readathon. So that's already a win for me because I wasn't counting on myself to read more paranormal romances after the readathon. So the next book that I want to talk about is actually the last book that I finished reading today. So today was pretty crazy at work. Like I woke up pretty early to start on some projects and to start on some reports that I was responsible for because the deadlines were all today, and at first I wasn't in the mood to like listen to an audiobook, but then I decided, you know what, I'm gonna listen to an audiobook. I was quite surprised that I enjoyed this book, mostly because it seems like it's something that like I read as a joke and then I bitterly hate it to like my friends and tell them that it sucks. But this one's called Dark Prince by Michelle Hercules, and this one is actually a part of a series called Blue Blood Vampires, and this one is kind of like what I would like to describe as a very cheesy bully vampire romance. And I'm a romance reader, I'm a romance lover, I advocate for romance, and I don't care for people trashing romance for the fun of it, for views, for like everybody just wanting to like trash on something and jump on this bandwagon and say that one genre is better than the other. But I also like to call some of like my romances to be what it is, which is like very cheesy, and I like to call it trashy. And it's not like in the mean intent that it's trashy like it's bad and we have to like burn it alive. I mean like trashy as in the sense that it's like ridiculous, but it's like it hits the right spot in my soul, and I just feel so good about it. In real life, if this ever happened, it would make no sense and it's just garbage. But in books and at the right moment and written in the right way, it's perfect. So that's how I would like to describe this one, because this one was a very trashy and cheesy vampire novel. And at first I thought it was an adult romance, but it was actually a new adult romance. Lots of people that I know actually read this book and actually gave it a low like rating, but I loved it. So I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars rating. This one is about a vampire prince. So I'm already intrigued because he is royalty. And he ended up going into like a coma or like a deep sleep for like 96 years, and like nobody could wake him up. So he's like kind of like waking up to like this new deal between these two rival vampire groups, that he is like the prince of one side and then the other side is like hates them. So then they went into this battle and they went into this war, and then when he woke up, there's this treaty between them where it's a peace treaty and they're not allowed to fight anymore, or else he loses his whole kingdom and blah de blah de blah. So our main female heroine is actually a person, so she's a human being, and she knows vampires exist because this is kind of like the world where vampires live among the living. And she has a brother who has been kidnapped and she needs to save her brother. So in order for her to save her brother, she has to agree to this strange request by this like weird looking man, where you have to steal the prince's necklace, and then once you steal the necklace, then I'll release your brother. And then so she kind of goes on this adventure where she disguises herself as a vampire by drinking this magical potion from a witch, and she goes into this academy slash learning school for vampires, which is kind of like why I'm thinking it's new adult, because they're still in school. And that's where they see each other again, and they meet for the first time when she's disguised as a vampire, because he met her when she was human and he was instantly attracted to her. And he quickly realizes that it's her, because obviously. And it was just such a fun romance. I thought it was just such a trashy, cheesy romance. It wasn't long, like it was only under 300 pages, and it's something that you could definitely binge read while in bed on a Friday night, and you just want to relax and you just want to like read something mind-numbingly like stupid but so good at the same time. So I really enjoyed this one. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Now I'm on a hunt for the same like style of romance, plus the romance where it's like half contemporary, half PNR romances. So if you guys have any recommendations, definitely let me know. So the second part of this vlog is that I wanted to show you that I actually bought a ring light. So I already have a ring light, but it was 8 inches, and 8 inches was not big enough for me. So I decided to buy a 12-inch one, and I wanted to do a quick unboxing. I think like this vlog was supposed to be like me talking about how I'm going to build this ring light, have great lighting for the video, and then give you guys updates. But then I got too excited and ended up telling you guys about my book. She's alive! Yay! Okay, anyways, that's my ring light. Lighting was never really a problem for me until I started uploading videos and I realized I look like poo. Let me know in the comments down below if you like this lighting a little bit better. This will be interesting to use on my desk, and I think it will definitely come in handy when I am filming in the wintertime, because the sun sets very fast now. But I'm excited for this Paranormal Romance Readathon to continue, because I have a lot more books to read, and I ended up also buying a lot from eBay because I was so like obsessed with this Paranormal Romance Readathon, and now I have like 7 more books coming my way, which is bad, but it should be fun too as well. But until next time, I'll see you guys again. Bye.